asking everybody to get back to the original intent of call the audience and public hearings. Now, in January of this year, I submitted to the Conference of Mayors in Washington, D.C. what we call the civility accord. The civility accord says it's time for us to start treating each other with dignity and respect and understanding and decorum. There's been about 250 mayors around the country that said now's the time for us to get back to how we really treat each other. That represents about 43 million people from a governance standpoint on implementing within city council meetings respect for each other. So there is an impact on call to the audience. Then we are going to allow people to talk about things that we disagree on. But we want to really get back to city issues. We'd like to, on call to the audience, have people tell us what's happening in our city so we can better govern the actions of the council. But we are not going to tolerate any longer any personal attacks on any individuals of the council or the city staff. It's just inappropriate. So these are some changes that we're implementing starting tonight. I've asked the city attorney if he would read a statement of decorum.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, there are existing mayor and council rules and regulations for participation of the public in mayor and council meetings, and it reads as follows. Citizens attending meetings shall observe rules of propriety, decorum, and good conduct. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks, or who becomes boisterous while addressing the governing body, may be removed by the sergeant at arms if directed by the chairman. So those are your existing rules that have been in place for many, many years, and that's what the mayor is referring to.
Well, let's start call to the audience. I do have 2 cards.
So much for
So
free speech.
We'll have call to the audience. Please make sure that you've read the information on the back of these cards. Be mindful of what I just indicated are going to be the rules of call to the audience. And with that, start with Keith Van Hannigan.
Good evening. My name is Keith Van Hannigan. I live at 8603 East Esselmont Drive, and you just made my evening. You have no idea what you just said, do you? First, it amazes me. First of all, there's a serious misconception in the world today that kindness is weakness. Then you have the thought pattern that if I say you have to be civil, you must do as I say. When in fact, the person saying it is the least civil person in the room usually. It's sometimes said, if we don't know our own history, we're doomed to repeat it. Well, Rome is on fire. National psyche can only bend so much to tyranny. We think of what happened leading up to the Dark Ages after Rome fell. Then what happened afterwards? Plague, war, starvation, on a scale I don't think any of you have ever read about. Maybe you should. I know a large percent of the people here are getting a clear picture of where our politicians and where our media, who has left the building because they don't want to repeat anything the people have to say. It comes down to this. How do you want to live? On your feet or on your knees? As a free man or as a slave? And when you say, is there a grant for that? You're looking at $17 trillion in debt by the time Barack Hussein Obama leaves office. As a mathematician who's had to deal with some pretty heavy finance, you need to get a grip, people. You're destroying this country. You're destroying Western civilization. And the corruption can't go on forever. I'm glad we had an election for the city council members and mayor this year. I'm glad there's a major election next year, because the tide has to be turned. Because the chaos you're bringing home isn't sitting well with anybody. Have a great night. Is that civil enough for you, Bob?
Go to work.
David, Warden, Tucson, Arizona. You know, it really is astonishing to me. The Arizona Constitution says it so clearly, so compellingly. The purpose of government is to protect the individual rights of the people. But you, Mr. Mayor, have turned that upside down. And basically, you've restated it such as the purpose of the people is to submit to the unlawful dictates of the government. You've assumed this power upon yourself. You've assumed the power to overturn hundreds of years of First Amendment law. You should read the Terminillo case, because it states the kind of language which is very appropriate, very angry, but very appropriate in public debate and addressing people like you. I know the comments last week made by Mr. Kazachek were directed at me. I thought this is really astonishing. A couple of years ago, he's a citizen, now he's a member of government, and he's taken over the meeting and he says you're not going to talk in a certain way. He's attempting, and he probably has, chilled public debate on these issues. And you think you're going to get away with it. You're angry because I called Miranda here.
Now you're into...
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, I'm there. Here's what the jury said. He said he acted with an evil mind.
Okay.
They were presented with clear and convincing evidence. This is from the court case. This is from the court case. Am I under arrest? Am I under arrest? Why? Explain to me why. Because he said so? Explain to me why.
And now there will be no more speakers.
We'll see you in federal court, Mr. Mayor.
On the consent agenda are received into and made part of the record. Mr. Clerk, you requested to read the consent agenda.
And we have two speakers, and they shut down the conversation.
Community development, endorsement of the Oracle area revitalization project report. Item B, budget.